Commander Elena Drake stood rigid on the bridge of the orbital defense platform, eyes locked on the viewport as the vast darkness of space slowly brightened with the looming silhouettes of the Galactic Empire's fleet. The stars outside seemed to dim, swallowed by the sheer scale of the enemy vessels advancing with relentless purpose. For over a decade, the Empire had ruled the Omega Sector with iron fists and near absolute power. Their ships were technological marvels, sleek, powerful, and shielded by energy barriers that had never been pierced in combat. Every engagement had ended the same way: Imperial victory and human retreat or annihilation. But this time was different. Elena's jaw tightened. This time, the humans were ready, or as ready as they could be. The command center buzzed with activity. Officers manned stations, monitoring the Empire fleet's approach. The platform itself was a relic of an earlier era, armed primarily with kinetic anti-aircraft batteries and missile turrets, antiquated compared to the Empire's devastating plasma cannons. Yet it was their last line of defense for a vital human colony world. "Elena, we have incoming transmission from Admiral Vorik," Lieutenant Morales said, voice tense. Elena nodded sharply. "Put it on the main screen." The holographic image flickered to life, revealing Admiral Vorik's cold, angular face. His eyes were sharp, almost predatory. The background showed the imposing bulk of his flagship. "Humans," Vorik's voice echoed through the bridge, calm but dripping with disdain. "Your resistance is futile. Your weapons are obsolete. Your fleets are no match for the might of the Galactic Empire. Surrender now, and we may show mercy." Elena's gaze didn't waver. "You've been wrong before, Admiral," she replied, voice steady and firm. "This fight isn't over until we say it is." The transmission ended abruptly. "Confidence or arrogance?" Captain Voss muttered beside her. "Both," Elena said, scanning the tactical display. "But that's the problem with underestimating humanity." A sudden tremor shook the platform. Imperial fighters had launched, swarming in tight formations, their energy cannons blazing. The platform's alarm screamed. "Raise shields! Divert power to point defenses!" Elena commanded, fingers flying across her console. Missile launchers spat volleys toward the oncoming fighters, and kinetic guns unleashed tracer rounds. But the Empire's shields absorbed much of the impact. One by one, human fighters were torn apart, debris scattering across the void. "Status report," Elena barked. "Shields holding at 80%. Morales answered, voice strained. "But we're losing our fighters fast." Elena swallowed hard. The disparity was brutal. The Empire's technology was designed to overwhelm and crush any opposition with surgical precision. "Focus on their capital ships," Elena ordered. "Target shield generators if possible." A technician looked up, puzzled. "Commander, our targeting systems are designed for large-scale bombardment, not pinpoint strikes on shield nodes. We're adapting, but it's slow. Do what you can. We have no choice." Outside, the Empire's flagship drew nearer, a monstrous construct glowing with a cerulean shimmer. Its shields pulsed rhythmically, a heartbeat of raw power. Elena allowed herself a brief flashback. Her family's last words, lost in the firestorms of an earlier invasion, echoed in her mind. That pain now fueled her resolve. "Commander," Voss said quietly, "if this platform falls, the colony will be vulnerable. We must hold at all costs." Elena nodded. "Then we fight. Not just for the platform, but for every human world under their shadow." She turned to her team. "Prepare to engage. This is our moment. The Empire may think their ship's untouchable, but they haven't faced what we're capable of yet." A technician's voice crackled over the comms. "Incoming enemy fighters closing fast." The first missile streaked through the void. Elena's eyes narrowed. Her anti-aircraft guns locked on. "Fire!" Explosions erupted around the fighters, but the Empire's shield shimmered, dampening the blows. Still, some fighters were shredded, crashing in flaming wreckage. Vorik's voice boomed over the platform's sensors, cold and commanding. "Your defenses are impressive but futile. You will break." Elena's reply was a silent vow as she watched the battle unfold, knowing the real fight was only just beginning. The deafening roar of plasma cannons tore through the silence of space, tearing chunks from the human platform's outer defenses. Elena Drake's hands flew over the console as the platform shook violently under repeated strikes. "Structural integrity at 65% and falling," cried the damage control officer, her voice edged with panic. "Divert all remaining power to point defense batteries," Elena ordered, eyes blazing. She refused to let fear take root. Not now. The sky beyond the viewport burned with flashes of light as Imperial fighters darted like venomous hornets, their energy blasts slicing through human shields. Dozens of small craft swarmed, coordinated and merciless. "Missile launchers online. Targeting Wave 1. Lieutenant Morales reported, his tone steady despite the chaos. "Fire at will," Elena commanded. Missiles streaked into the swarm, detonating in fiery bursts that sent fragments scattering. Yet the enemy formations reassembled quickly, shielded and swift. Several human fighters answered the call, weaving between blasts to engage, but losses mounted rapidly. "Elena!" Voss called from his station, eyes glued to the tactical display. "Their shields are absorbing our kinetic rounds. It's like hitting a brick wall." She grimaced. The Empire's ships were engineering marvels, shield generators creating barriers of pure energy that repelled even the most advanced human weapons. "Change tactics," Elena decided instantly. "Focus fire on shield emitters. If we can disrupt their power source, maybe we can create openings." A murmur rippled through the room. The idea was risky: precision strikes against small, moving targets, all while under bombardment. "Can the targeting systems handle that?" she asked Morales. "We're reprogramming now. It's cutting edge, experimental," he admitted. "But we'll need a few minutes." "Do it. Every second counts." Elena's gaze shifted to the platform's communication console. "Patch me through to the weapons crews." "Commander," came the voice of Chief Gunner Yara, breath ragged. "Our anti-aircraft batteries are stretched thin. Reload times are increasing. We're losing ground." "Hold fast," Elena replied, voice calm but firm. "Focus on accuracy over volume. Every shot must count." Suddenly, the flagship's shield shimmered irregularly on the tactical map, a flicker, a quiver. Elena's heart quickened. "Look at that!" Morales exclaimed. "One of their shield generators is showing signs of stress." "Target it now," Elena said sharply. The guns adjusted, missiles locked onto the designated spot. A brilliant explosion rocked the flagship's starboard side. The shields faltered for a heartbeat, enough for a few human fighters to dart closer and unleash laser blasts into the exposed hull. "Direct hit," Yara confirmed breathlessly. "Shield disruption confirmed." The bridge erupted with cautious cheers, but Elena kept her focus razor sharp. "This is just the beginning," she said quietly. "They'll adapt. We need to press this advantage. Admiral Vorik is not going to take this lightly," Voss warned. "He'll increase firepower. We need contingency plans." Elena nodded. "Prepare for their retaliation. Coordinate with engineering. Prioritize shield repairs and battery reinforcements." As the human platform regained composure, the Empire unleashed a ferocious barrage, plasma bolts hammering at the station's shields. Sparks flew, consoles flickered, and alarms blared in shrill warnings. "Shields down to 30%, the damage officer shouted. "Brace for impact," Elena ordered. The platform shuddered as a powerful blast tore through the outer ring. Crew members stumbled but quickly regained footing, hands steadying controls. "Elena," Morales said urgently, "the fighters are regrouping for a second assault." "Bring the missile batteries back online," she replied. "This time, focus volleys on their capital ships." The battle outside grew more desperate. Imperial cruisers, massive and glowing with lethal energy, moved into closer range. Their shields pulsated with eerie light, deflecting human fire with practiced ease. But Elena refused to surrender ground. "Launch everything we have," she commanded. Concentrate fire on their shield generators. We're exposing weaknesses. Missile volleys incoming, the weapons officer called. Missiles tore through the void, exploding near the Empire vessels. Several shield segments flickered, the force shaking the enemy fleet visibly. Vorik's voice echoed again over comms, cold and unforgiving. You waste your strength, humans. Our supremacy is inevitable. Elena clenched her jaw. They underestimate us, she murmured. Morales turned toward her. Commander, if we continue this, we risk the platform's destruction. Should we prepare evacuation protocols? No, Elena said firmly. We hold. Our sacrifice will buy time for the colonies. If we retreat now, everything is lost. Her crew exchanged determined glances, understanding the gravity of her resolve. Suddenly, the flagship's shields flickered again, this time more pronounced. Target lock on the flagship's aft shield generator, Morales announced. Fire! Elena's voice cut through the tension. A missile barrage slammed into the target zone. The shield shimmered, cracking like ice under pressure. Direct hit, Yara confirmed. Shields failing! The flagship's energy weapons momentarily faltered. For the first time, the seemingly invincible Empire vessel showed signs of vulnerability. Elena allowed herself a fleeting smile. Keep up the pressure, she urged. We've found their weak spot. Yet the Empire retaliated fiercely. Plasma beams lashed out, cutting through sections of the platform's hull. Fires erupted, and emergency lights bathed the corridors in red. Damage control teams, report, Elena demanded. We're overwhelmed, the damage officer admitted. Several sectors compromised. We can't lose the platform, Elena insisted. Divert auxiliary power to critical systems. The room filled with the hum of desperate activity. Outside, the second wave of fighters descended, a swarm relentless in its precision. Elena, our missiles are running low, Morales warned. We'll make every shot count, she replied, steeling herself. Time seemed to stretch and contract in chaotic pulses, moments of blistering combat punctuated by desperate strategizing. In the midst of the turmoil, Elena found a brief moment to contact her engineering chief. Lieutenant Ramos, status on the targeting system upgrades? Almost ready, Commander. We're integrating real-time sensor data to improve missile accuracy against shield emitters. Good. We need that edge. Back on the bridge, Elena watched the fleet's status display. The shield generator on the flagship flickered under strain, but the enemy was far from defeated. Vorik's voice came through again, a cold warning. You fight bravely, but it will not save you. Surrender now, and your deaths may be swift. Elena's voice came back steady and unwavering. Humans don't surrender. The hum of the platform systems was underscored by the distant thunder of exploding shells beyond the reinforced viewport. Commander Elena Drake's gaze remained fixed on the flickering shield status of the Empire's flagship, a subtle but critical anomaly in the impenetrable barrier. Lieutenant Morales, run the shield generator's harmonic patterns through the analyzer again, Elena commanded. Morales nodded, fingers flying over the console. There's definitely a frequency fluctuation, almost like resonance interference. It's brief, but recurring every few seconds. Elena's mind raced. Could our kinetic weapons be disrupting their shield harmonics? Exactly, Morales confirmed. The old-school missiles and railgun rounds are producing shockwaves that clash with the energy frequencies maintaining their shields. The room buzzed with a new kind of hope. For months, the Imperial fleets had seemed invincible, their shields unbreachable. Now, a chink had been exposed, tiny, but exploitable. Prepare to recalibrate the anti-aircraft batteries to maximize kinetic impact frequency, Elena ordered. We'll target the shield emitters in synchronized volleys, timing shots to coincide with the harmonic dips. The technicians scrambled, running simulations and adjusting systems to fire bursts that would hammer the shield frequencies with maximum disruption. Yara, chief gunner, raised a skeptical brow. It's a gamble. If our timing is off, the shields will regenerate instantly. We'll waste precious ammunition, Elena met her eyes steadily. We don't have the luxury of precision, Yara. We have the advantage of surprise. This gamble could break the Empire's defenses. Elsewhere on the platform, engineers worked furiously to patch damage sustained during the previous assault. Elena moved through the corridors briefly, nodding at weary crew members who barely had time to acknowledge her before returning to their stations. Back on the bridge, the tension was palpable. Commander, tactical reads indicate the flagship is increasing its energy output, Morales warned. They've noticed the shield fluctuations. Elena leaned forward. Then we need to accelerate our assault. Missiles loaded and ready, Yara reported. Launch volleys on my mark, Elena said, timing her commands carefully. 3, 2, 1. Fire! The airspace around the flagship erupted with missiles streaking forward, each blast timed to collide with the shield's weakening pulses. On the tactical display, the flagship's shields convulsed violently, shimmering, cracking, briefly splitting like fractured glass. Direct hits on multiple shield emitters, Morales announced. Their shield harmonics are destabilizing. The room erupted in controlled excitement, but Elena kept her voice low. Maintain pressure. Focus fire on the largest disruptions. Vorek's voice cut through the tension. Your persistence is commendable, but ultimately futile. The Galactic Empire will not fall to primitive weaponry. Elena's fingers tightened around the console. Primitive or not, it's breaking your defenses. The flagship's energy weapons faltered momentarily. Several enemy vessels slowed, their shields flickering unpredictably. Morales leaned in. If we sustain this, we can force their flagship into a defensive posture. Voss, standing nearby, nodded. It's a turning point, but also a danger. The Empire will retaliate with everything they've got. Suddenly, the platform shook violently. A plasma blast hit the main communications array, scrambling signals. Commander! The communications officer shouted. We're losing contact with several fighter squadrons. Reroute all channels through secondary arrays, Elena ordered. Keep me connected. Fires sparked in the engineering bay. Damage control teams raced to contain them. Amidst the chaos, Elena made a decision. Prepare a contingency protocol, she said. If the platform falls, evacuate critical personnel and secure battle data on the Empire's shield weaknesses. This fight is more than survival, it's intelligence. Morales hesitated. Commander, are you prepared to abandon the platform? Elena's eyes burned. I'm prepared to sacrifice it if it means winning the war. On the tactical displays, a new wave of Empire fighters accelerated toward the platform. The humans braced for impact. Deploy all remaining missile batteries, Elena commanded. The platform's guns roared to life, launching volleys designed to coincide with the shield's weak moments. Explosions rippled across the enemy fleet. For a few brief seconds, the flagship's shields faltered visibly. Vorek's voice became strained. Hold formation! Do not let them breach the defenses. But the disruption had lasting effects. The Empire vessels struggled to maintain their offensive, energy weapons flickering unpredictably. Elena exchanged a glance with Voss. They're faltering. Now's the time to press. Commander, we're receiving sensor data from the outer fields, Morales reported. The asteroid belts nearby are providing some natural cover for the platform's fighters. Elena's mind raced. Use it. Order the fighter squadrons to engage under the cover of the asteroids, forcing the Empire to split their fire. The communications officer patched the orders through. The platform's fighter pilots maneuvered into the rocky shadows, launching surprise attacks. Imperial fighters faltered, caught off guard by the sudden guerrilla tactics. On the bridge, Elena allowed herself a brief smile. This is what they didn't expect, she said softly. Human ingenuity. Vorek's frustration crackled over the comms. You prolonged the inevitable, Commander. Surrender now. Elena's response was resolute. Never. The battle raged on, each volley of missiles timed to fracture the shields further. The Empire flagship's defensive patterns became erratic, its energy weapons less coordinated. Commander, Borealis warned. We're running low on missile supplies. Elena nodded. Then we switch tactics. She turned to Yara. Prepare the railgun batteries. They have the power to punch through even the strongest shields, but require precise timing. Yara's eyes gleamed with determination. Ready when you are. Elena issued the order. Fire at the next harmonic dip. We need to shatter their shield generators. The railgun rounds fired with thunderous force, slamming into the weakened points. The flagship's shields cracked and splintered under the assault. The flagship shuddered, energy flares bursting across its hull. On the platform, cheers erupted, but Elena silenced the room with a sharp glance. This victory is fragile, she warned. We push forward, now or never. The battle's intensity surged as both sides grappled for supremacy. Elena's eyes burned with a fierce resolve, her mind clear and unyielding. We've found the key to their defenses, she said. Let's turn it into their undoing. The Empire's flagship, once a symbol of invulnerability, now pulsed erratically under the relentless human assault. Elena Drake stood on the bridge, her gaze unwavering as the tactical display revealed the steady deterioration of the vessel's defenses. Shields at 20% and dropping, Lieutenant Morales reported, voice tight but edged with excitement. Hull integrity compromised in multiple sectors. Elena's lips pressed into a thin line. This was the moment they'd fought for, months of preparation, sacrifice, and stubborn defiance culminating in this pivotal strike. Full concentrated fire on the aft shield generators, she ordered. Nothing else matters. The platform's batteries unleashed a synchronized barrage of missiles and railgun slugs, each impact hammering the flagship's vulnerable points. The energy barriers fractured, shimmering like cracked glass, exposing the gleaming hull beneath. Direct hits confirmed, Chief Gunner Yara announced breathlessly. They're scrambling to reroute power, but the shields won't hold. Across the comms, the Empire's response was frantic. Orders shouted, commands barked, desperate attempts to patch critical systems. But the damage was too severe. Vorik's voice crackled through, filled with rage. This is an outrage. How is this possible? Your primitive weapons. Don't underestimate us. Elena interrupted, voice cold and unwavering. You thought your fleet untouchable. You were wrong. Outside the viewport, the flagship's surface flickered with bursts of energy, hull plates rupturing, flames licking across exposed circuits. The vessel shuddered violently. Enemy fighters attempting to close in for boarding, Borealis warned. Elena's eyes narrowed. The Empire was shifting tactics, desperate to turn the tide with close-quarters combat. Activate point defense lasers. Repel all boarding attempts, she ordered. We hold this platform at any cost. Suddenly, alarms blared as another plasma blast slammed into the platform's port side. The station rocked violently. Damage control teams report severe breaches, the damage officer cried. Elena remained composed. Seal all affected compartments. Prioritize life support systems. The platform groaned, but held. Commander, Voss said quietly, the flagship is listing. Its weapon systems are offline. Elena allowed herself a brief moment of triumph. We've done the impossible, she murmured. Not yet, Borealis cautioned. The flagship is initiating emergency retreat protocols. Elena clenched her fists. We can't let it escape. Target engines, disable propulsion. Locked on, Yara confirmed. Missiles streaked toward the crippled flagship's engine clusters. Explosions erupted, ripping through the thrusters. Engines disabled, Borealis reported. They're dead in the void. The flagship shuddered, its great mass drifting helplessly. Vorik's voice was strained, his arrogance shattered. This isn't over, Commander. Elena's gaze hardened. For now you've lost. She turned to the crew. All hands, prepare for boarding party reception. We take what intelligence we can from that ship. Understood, Voss replied. In the eerie silence between bursts of fire, Elena allowed herself a rare glance at her team, worn, exhausted, but unbroken. "Today we proved one truth," she said softly, "that no matter the technology, no matter the odds, human spirit and ingenuity can break even the strongest chains." Outside, the battered flagship's lights flickered as boarding pods were launched. The platform's defenses flared to life, repelling each attempt with laser precision. Inside the command center, Elena coordinated every move. Each volley, each strike was calculated, relentless. "Hold the line!" she commanded. The battle stretched, time dissolving into pure focus. Gradually, the boarding attempts ceased. Vorex's retreat was unmistakable. "Enemy flagship retreating," Morales announced. Cheers erupted on the bridge, but Elena silenced them with a raised hand. "This victory is ours, but the war is far from over." Her eyes swept over the wounded platform, the flickering consoles, the weary faces of her crew. "We've bought time for humanity. Time to rebuild, to rethink, to strike back." She exhaled slowly, the weight of command momentarily lifted. "Stand down from battle stations," she ordered. "Prepare damage reports." Voss approached. "Commander, your leadership turned the tide. The fleet will remember this day." Elena nodded, gaze drifting to the stars beyond. "For now," she said quietly, "we rest. Tomorrow, we prepare for what comes next." The hum of emergency systems filled the corridors as the platform's crew moved with purposeful urgency. Damage control teams worked tirelessly, sealing breaches and restoring vital functions. The air was thick with smoke and the scent of scorched circuitry, a harsh reminder of the battle just endured. Commander Elena Drake walked the passageways, her boots echoing on the metal floor. Faces turned toward her, exhausted, bruised, but alive. Each nodded with a silent thanks, their eyes reflecting a shared relief and an unspoken promise. They had survived when all odds seemed against them. In the command center, the atmosphere was quieter, yet heavy with the weight of hard-won victory. Elena returned to her station, scanning battle reports and system diagnostics. The platform's shields were barely operational, weapons damaged, and several crew members unaccounted for. The cost had been steep. Lieutenant Morales approached, holding a datapad. "Commander, the final damage assessments. We sustained critical hits to 3 major sectors, but overall structural integrity remains above 60%. Elena exhaled, rubbing her temples. "We held the line. That's what matters." Morales hesitated. "The Empire flagship escaped, but limping. Intelligence gathered from our sensors suggests extensive hull damage and disabled propulsion systems. It won't be back anytime soon." Elena's lips tightened. "It's a reprieve, not a victory. They'll rebuild. We need to be ready." Captain Voss entered, removing his helmet, sweat darkening his brow. "Commander, the colony's command council wants a status update. They're eager, but anxious." Elena nodded. "Arrange a secure channel. I'll speak with them." Minutes later, the platform's communications array buzzed to life, connecting Elena to the anxious voices of planetary leaders. Their faces flickered on the holoscreen, some pale, others stern. "Elena, this battle has shifted the balance," Governor Rains of the colony said. "Your defense bought us precious time. But what now? Can we hold against the Empire's inevitable retaliation?" Elena met their eyes steadily. "We've uncovered a vulnerability in the Empire's flagship defenses. It's small, but exploitable. With this knowledge, we can adapt our tactics and develop weapons that target their weaknesses directly." A ripple of cautious hope passed through the council. "We'll need resources and time," Elena added. "But most importantly, unity. Every colony, every fleet must stand together." Governor Rains nodded. "Agreed. We'll mobilize support." The connection ended, leaving Elena alone with her thoughts. Outside the platform, the stars stretched infinitely, a vast battlefield awaiting the next chapter. Later, Elena convened with her senior officers. "Morales, what's the status on research into the shield harmonic disruptions?" she asked. Morales looked up from a datapad. "Our scientists are reverse engineering the data from the battle. Early models show we can amplify the effects using modified railgun projectiles and enhanced missile guidance. It's promising, but we need more time. Yara chimed in. We're also working on retrofitting existing weapons for rapid-fire kinetic blasts to maintain constant pressure on enemy shields. Elena nodded approvingly. Good. This is the edge we didn't have before. Voss frowned slightly. We must also address crew morale. Casualties were heavy. Many families lost. Elena's voice softened. We'll hold a memorial ceremony tomorrow. Their sacrifice will not be forgotten. The room fell into thoughtful silence. That night, Elena stood alone in the observation deck. The platform's interior lights dimmed, casting long shadows. Outside, distant stars glittered cold and indifferent. Her mind replayed the battle, the desperation, the fear, the moments of triumph. She thought of her lost family, the faces of her crew, the countless lives hanging in the balance. Her communicator beeped softly. She answered. Commander, it's Lieutenant Ramos. We've secured additional raw materials from nearby asteroid fields for weapon upgrades. Elena, every contribution counts, she replied with genuine gratitude. Keep me updated. As the call ended, Elena's resolve hardened. Tomorrow, the platform would begin repairs. The fleets would strengthen their defenses. The colonies would rally. Humanity would not only survive but fight back with renewed vigor. The battle had changed everything. No longer were humans mere prey under the Empire's shadow, they were a rising force, unyielding and resourceful. Elena's thoughts turned to the future. Challenges loomed vast and uncertain, but so did opportunity. She whispered into the silence. This is only the beginning. The platform's lights dimmed further as the crew rested, recovering from their ordeal. And somewhere, across the blackness of space, the Empire's flagship drifted, damaged, humbled, but far from defeated. The war had just entered a new phase. But for the first time in decades, humanity had hope, and the will to prevail.